Hello, my name is Anna. Welcome to another English lesson. Today we are going to talk about reading. But why reading? Our main goal here is to communicate, right? To learn how to communicate and to start speaking fluently and communicating with other people around the world. But to learn how to speak expressively, you first need to learn how to construct the sentences. And for this purpose, you need examples. And not only to hear these examples, but you also need to see these examples, how the sentences are constructed, how everything is done, and to analyze the sentence structure, and to then read it all aloud, and to catch the intonation patterns. But also, there is one more important thing. You need to think creatively, not in your native language, but in the foreign language, the language you are going to use for your communication. This is why you need specific reading exercises and specific speaking exercises. That's how it starts. And this is why we are going to dive into the process of reading a little deeper and take not only reading aloud and pronouncing the words correctly according to their spelling rules, but also reading for comprehension and analyzing the information and coming up with ideas, just developing our own thinking, but not thinking in the language we have always spoken, but in the language we are using right now, the foreign language. Is it foreign to you? Or is it your native language already? If it is, good luck to you. Congratulations. But nevertheless, practice is always good. This is why today we are going to talk about analytical reading, the deeper analysis. And what's that? This is also some reading for some specific information, and it's also better done not with the whole huge book, if we are dealing with a huge book. If we are dealing with an article, which is an article, of course, it can be the whole article. But if we have to do with some huge work, it's better to take just a page or two or a chapter, some extract, and analyze it. And so any extract has its specific theme. That's what it is about. And the specific message also. Message is the idea. So what's the author trying to transmit to the reader? What idea? What are the writer's idea? The author's idea. Maybe it's not writer, maybe it's a scientist. Maybe it's some scientific work, right? It depends on what you are analyzing, because you have specific purposes of reading and specific purposes of language learning and specific purposes of communication also. So this is why it's all different and it's all up to you. And this is how you start analyzing, from the theme and from the idea. But then you go further. You go further, and here you can already look for certain ways, how this idea is expressed in each paragraph, how this idea and theme is expressed in each of the sentences, how this idea is expressed by the description of the characters, how the characters are described. Are they described using the description method, or are they described through their actions or in some different variant, or are they described as some other characters see them, these impressions? So there are really lots of variants that you can analyze it, and how the idea is expressed as well, and how everything is described, and how you see the background of the story, so how you see the surroundings, the environment. So also how it's shown through the description or through some dynamic action, or you see it all with the eyes of one of the characters because it's first person singular, or if it's third person narrative, then it's completely different. But again, there can be certain methods how the author shows this or that thing, how the actions are shown, how the conversations go. Are there lots of dialogues, or there are no dialogues and only indirect speech, for example, or there are no conversations at all, but only the events, or there are no events, but only the author's thoughts, the author's ideas that are expressed on the speculations, certain just the number of ideas, and they're just presented in different ways. So it all is considered, and so you draw this picture because you are going then to take these canvas and use that for, again, for coming up with your own ideas, because that's basically what we are reading for when we are not just reading for reading, but when we would like to also develop our communication skills and our thinking skills. This, if we using reading for these purposes, of course, we are not simply reading, but we are doing something with it. And so we can also look for certain stylistic devices like metaphors, for example, when some non-living beings acquire some characteristics of living beings, or just simply one thing acquires some qualities of a different thing. So this is how the metaphor works, or just a simile is, this is just a comparison. Or we can also, for example, use light OT when something is minimalized. So there is something that basically something is smaller, is shown smaller than it really is. Or vice versa, we can use hyperbole and show something in a greater and bigger manner than it really is. This is just exaggerating everything. And an oxymoron is a very interesting thing because it's a controversial connection, like witty stupidity or something like that, or just clever simplicity, something that can never go together comes together. And skillful authors usually use it in such unexpected ways that you really like horribly fantastic or something like that. So they really use it surprisingly well and in an unexpected manner, but the impression is always positive and unexpected and surprising. And so this this catches readers' attention and also provokes active thinking and creative thinking, because when you read like that, you always usually want to create something also. And so you come up with ideas to how to communicate something to others so that you get some feedback, and so the communication start, and after that you already can communicate for your certain purposes. But of course, when you practice creating these creative ideas for communication, it's easier for you to hold the conversation, to switch from one topic to the other, and so not to be monotonous, right? Because you can vary what you're talking about. There is some main topic, but you're not focusing on this topic, but take little breaks, switching on to some other things, and then coming back to this main topic. And when it's done like this, it makes the conversation more entertaining and more dynamic, and it's easier for the speaker to focus because they have breaks. And so in this way, you can talk a little longer, and you can actually focus on the main thing a lot longer than if it were, for example, just only about one thing. Because of course, there are people who can focus on just one thing for a long time, and it's time saving for them. But there are people out there for who it's unsuitable. And so if you see, for example, if the person just cannot focus on just one thing for a certain period of time, for the period of time that's required. And so then you can come to this approach and switch between different topics. And so analytical reading is basically a good exercise for you to develop this ability, coming up with your own ideas and quickly switching between topics and leading the active and entertaining conversation. And of course, practice makes perfect. This is why you had better download the worksheet following the link below this video and following the instructions to complete the worksheet. I wish you good luck with that, and see you in the next lesson.